They met in secret in a high tower hidden deep in a forest. It was an ornate folly of a long-dead lord. The meeting-room at the top was circular and had a white marble floor. Arched windows gave a resplendent view over the forest canopy, but the lack of glass made it draughty. Count Vladovich fidgeted under his white robe. He was used to the feel of coarse wool and armour rather than the touch of silk, but their leader had insisted they do this right. And that included suitable attire for conspirators. It did have a certain practical side in that none of those present was immediately recognizable, though the sheer bulk of Tulip, the Countess of Umbria, could not be mistaken. The use of adopted names did seem ridiculous. That he should have to be referred to as Hemlock was not only demeaning but daft. He had a famously grisly voice that none who heard could forget. It wasn't as though he didn't know exactly who any one of the 9 present was, either. Foxglove, who had suggested the idea of the names, had explained he was missing the point entirely. The robes, the names, the secret meetings were used so what they plotted was plausibly deniable, a term that once explained seemed equally absurd since, in the Count's experience, a conspiracy that was plausibly deniable would become eagerly admitted upon the threatened use of a hot poker. Nevertheless, there they were, shivering in the flimsiest of white silk, waiting for the last of their number to arrive. Petunia and Marigold were discussing a point of order when there was a strong buffeting and heads turned to the steeple dome. There was a crash and several tiles slid past a window. Curses could be heard and more crashes before Black Orchid made her entrance. Unlike the rest, Black Orchid's robes were sable. And, unlike the rest, the Count had no idea who Black Orchid was, beyond the fact that she was the leader of this conspiracy and was not to be trifled with in the slightest. They had started out as an even 13, but Pansy and Carnation had made the mistake of challenging Black Orchid's leadership, on the basis that she was a woman. Bits of them were still unaccounted for, though there was little doubt that the parts that had been found belonged to the pair.
"I see I'm the last to arrive," said Black Orchid from under her hood. "Let's cut the formalities and get down to it, shall we?"
There was a sibilant hiss to Black Orchid's voice, and the Count found the accent hard to place. Feet shuffled, but there was no response. The Count was happy for the hoods that hid their faces. Though he had lived a life of martial hardship and was no stranger to danger, he was also no stranger to fear, and there was something about Black Orchid that made him deeply afraid. When he addressed his men before battle, he could hide his fear, but he was not sure he could have hidden the terror he felt when Black Orchid was addressing them.
"How goes the search?"
asked Black Orchid. This was the first question Black Orchid always asked, and the Count dreaded it. Years ago she had given them the prophecy and sent them out to search for the hero. Since then, they had been meeting every 6 months to report any news, and at every meeting there was no news. The world was a big place. Finding one particular child in all the villages, towns, and cities across a dozen lands was no mean feat. True, there had been candidates, but none had turned out to be the hero Black Orchid had revealed to them. The hero who would throw off the yoke of the merchant classes and return the aristocracy to its rightful position. Too long had they lived under the burden of loans and interest rates. Darkness was coming, and the hero would lead them in the final battle against the Dark Lord.